بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته جزاكم الله خير for coming. So alhamdulillah, our talk today is on jinn and black magic, or jinn and magic as we should call it. Barakallahu feek for all of you to attend this event. Brother Abu Nadeer, he's come from somewhere away to deliver this talk to us. So please let's pay attention to what he's saying because it's of utmost importance. Inshallah, Brother Abu Nadeer, alhamdulillah, he's been a Raqi, he's been in the field of Ruqyah for some number of years, approximately 10 years and more. He's a student of Sheikh Khalid al-Habashi from Saudi. And inshallah he's going to talk to us about how we're going to protect ourselves and some signs of magic and jinn possession bi'idhnillahi al-kareem. Once we've done that, inshallah, we're going to take some questions from you guys, and that will strictly be done via text messages only. Text messages only. So if you have a pen and paper to hand, or you want to get your mobile phones out now, please take this number down: 07946 914 968. I'll say it again: 07946 914 968. I will repeat that when we start doing the Q&A session. Please keep your messages direct to the point. We don't want essays to have to read through. Short and sharp messages for the brother to answer. And also, inshallah, we're going to have a ta'weez box within the masjid, upstairs in the sister section and also downstairs. So if anybody has one that they want to find out what's inside, or they're curious, or they have questions about, please just pop it into the box, and if we get time, inshallah, we'll try to open it in front of everybody to show you the correct method of how to open a ta'weez, and to expose what is inside, inshallah. So without further ado, Brother Abu Nadeer, if you'd like to.
إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يقول الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: واتبعوا ما تتلو الشياطين على ملك سليمان وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. واتبعوا ما تتلو الشياطين على ملك سليمان وما كفر سليمان ولكن الشياطين كفروا يعلمون الناس السحر وما أنزل على الملكين ببابل هاروت وماروت وما يعلمان من أحد حتى يقولا إنما نحن فتنة فلا تكفر فيتعلمون منهما ما يفرقون به بين المرء وزوجه وما هم بضارين به من أحد إلا بإذن الله ويتعلمون ما يضرهم ولا ينفعهم ولقد علموا لمن اشتراه ما له في الآخرة من خلاق ولبئس ما شروا به أنفسهم لو كانوا يعلمون. والله سبحانه وتعالى يقول: وأوحينا إلى موسى أن ألق عصاك فإذا هي تلقف ما يأفكون فوقع الحق وبطن ما كانوا يعملون فغلبوا هنالك وانقلبوا ساغرين وألقي السحرة ساجدين. والله سبحانه وتعالى يقول: ولا يفلح الساحر حيث أتى. Jazakumullah khair, brothers and sisters, you invited me here today to talk about an issue that is called, most commonly known in English as black magic, but really it's all different types of magic: black, red, white, whatever you want to call it, but it's evil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about it in Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 102, that we should not approach it, and it's only loss. It will only cause us corruption in our lives, in this dunya and in the akhirah. And He tells us to keep away from it. And the story of Harut and Marut, and who are Harut and Marut? Are they angels? Are they men? Are they tribes from the jinn? And this is what the scholars spoke about. But the Rajih, the most strongest opinion, Ibn Kathir quoted, that Ali radiallahu anhu mentioned that they were angels that came to warn people from magic. They came to warn people to stay away from magic. Why? It's because at that time of Babil, in the place of Babil, there were men that came and showed magic to people. And they were saying they were prophets by practicing magic and showing things that were not normal to human beings. So Allah Azza wa Jalla sent down angels to show them that this is magic and it separates people from husband and their wife. So that's the story of Harut and Marut, and that is what the confusing part of that ayah. That who were they? Were they angels? Were they men? Or were they tribe from the jinn? But they were angels, as the scholars said. Sulaiman, alayhi salatu salam, the Jews claimed that he was a magician. But he wasn't a magician. That's why the verse came down, as the scholar said, that he had a kingdom that Allah bestowed on him. When Allah said, He says in the Quran, "Rabbi ighfir li wa hab li mulkan la yanbaghi li ahad min ba'di." Oh Allah, forgive me and bestow on me a kingdom that no one else will have after me. So Allah Azza wa Jalla gave a miracle to Sulaiman alayhi salatu wasalam. Same as Musa, he was claimed to be, or they claimed that he was a magician. And Fir'aun said to his people, bring me every knowledgeable magician so they can have a competition with Musa. But when they came together to have this duel, this battle, what happened? They threw their sticks and their ropes, and to everyone got bewitched. Everyone got affected by this sihr, even Musa alayhi salatu wassalam. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, throw your staff down, and it turned into a snake, and it ate all the other snakes, what happened? The magicians prostrated to Allah in submission, and they believed in Allah and surrendered themselves to Allah. Why? Because they had knowledge of magic. They were the most knowledgeable of magic at that time. And that magic was a powerful magic, because it affected everyone, and even Musa alayhi salatu wasalam. So what happened next? Basically they got killed by Fir'aun, but they were believers by Allah. They believed in Allah and His Prophet Musa and Harun. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestows miracles on His prophets, like He bestowed the miracle to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam of splitting the moon. The Meccan people asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for a sign, so he showed them a splitting of the moon. But it doesn't. The miracles to prophets are not the same as what the soothsayers or the sahirs, they call to themselves. They don't call to Allah. That's the difference between the two. So sihr, I mean, I've come here today, do I have to prove that sihr exists? And I was researching, reading the books, what scholars write is the dispute between scholars. Does sihr exist or doesn't exist? Does it have an effect on people? Doesn't it have an effect on people? And it's a big, long discussion. But I'm someone who practices Ruqyah. I see people every day. And then I'm seeing why they're coming to me. And on the way, I've changed my talk, because I'm thinking, what do people want to hear? Do they want to hear the conflict between the scholars, or do they want to hear the reality of what's happening today? What is it they want to hear? So the reality of it is this. I'll tell you what it is. Many people are not affected by sihr. Many people are affected by ayn. That's the reality of it. But every time they go to a raqi, what does a raqi say to him? Oh, you have sihr. What does the poor person think? Somebody's gone out there purposely and affected me and attacked me. It causes them anxiety and depression, just that you've told them that you have sihr, when they don't have sihr. You know what they have? Most people suffer from ayn. And the cure for ayn is very, very easy. It's very easy. Everyone in this room should know what the cure of ayn is. Everyone wants to talk about jinn. Everyone wants to talk about jinn. Okay, actually the topic now is gone. I'm not talking about all my notes now, I'm not using my notes. Everyone wants to talk about jinn and sihr. Now the brother, when he phoned me and he said to me, can you please come and talk about jinn and sihr? I said to him, Akhi, please. Why do people want to talk about jinn and why do people want to talk about sihr? You want to talk about sihr? The Prophet ﷺ was bewitched. He was bewitched. For 6 months he was affected. He didn't know he was affected by sihr. For 6 months. Can you believe that? I was amazed when I heard that. That for 6 months the Prophet ﷺ was affected by sihr, and in that period of time he used to seek hijama to get rid or relief from the effect of sihr. And it was a sihr to kill him. But it didn't affect the message. It didn't affect the message at all. What it affected was that he thought he spent time with his wives when he didn't. Until Aisha radiallahu anha said to him, Ya Rasulullah, do you not have any interest in us? And then the Prophet ﷺ made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now remember this hadith now, take note of this hadith, because the cure for sihr is in this hadith. The cure for sihr is in this hadith. By idhnillah, watch this. He said he made dua after dua. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed him a sign. And what I mean dua after dua, he made the dua for a long period of time. So, in that time when the Prophet would make dua, he went to sleep or he lay down, he saw two angels come to him in the form of men. And it said it was Mikael and Jibreel. And one of them would ask, what is wrong with your friend? And he would say, they said matboob. And matboob comes from the word tib. So the Arabs, they have a tendency not to say he's sick, he's afflicted, he's bewitched. No, they say something that is positive. So he said matboob. Man tabbahu. Who afflicted him? Lubayd bin Asam. Lubayd bin Asam was a man from a Jewish tribe who practiced sihr and had knowledge of sihr, but he didn't have jinn. Okay, he didn't have any communication with the jinn. That's what the scholars say. The Prophet ﷺ was afflicted by sihr from the other Jews tribes. They tried to do sihr to him, but it didn't affect him. So these Jews went to Lubayd bin Asam and said to him, can you do sihr to the Prophet ﷺ? And they paid him 3 dinars. So he practiced the sihr. And he said, Lubayd bin Asam, the angel said, and how did he do it? The angel Jibreel alayhi salam replied, a comb with his hair and a male date palm thrown in a well. So the Prophet when he woke up, he ordered in one narration Ali and Talha to bring the sihr. So they bring the sihr. And this is, they say, the reason for Falaq wal Nas, why it came down, is because of this incident. This is one of the sayings of the scholars. They say this. When the sihr was brought to the Prophet ﷺ, it said it had 11 knots. And if you read Al-Falaq wal Nas, it has 11 ayats and it had 11 knots. Every time he read a verse, he unknotted a knot. Okay? So the Prophet ﷺ, it is in Sahih Bukhari, he was affected by sihr. So there's no need for me to prove that sihr exists and it has an effect on people and it affects on their body and their mind and their social life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders the Prophet ﷺ to seek refuge in him from sihr. وَمِن شَرِّ النَّفَّاثَاتِ فِي الْعُقَدِ, and from the blower when he blows in knots. So, inshallah, that is covered. And I think everyone in this room, alhamdulillah, understands this. But what my problem is that some people who are most really not in this mosque at all go to these magicians and they call themselves Muslims and they get sihr done to themselves. Okay, they get sihr done to themselves, or they phone a magician and they say to him, what is wrong with me? What am I affected with? When the Prophet ﷺ made it clear, whoever goes to a soothsayer, his salah is not accepted for 40 days. For 40 days. And whoever goes to a soothsayer and believes in what he says, he's disbelieved in what's come down on the Prophet ﷺ. These things are clear, but people are still doing this. Why? Because this message is not getting to them. This message that we're talking about now is not getting to them. And I'm not going to lie to you. I sit where you sit and I listen to scholars, students of knowledge speaking. But then I look around me and I'm saying, who's delivering this message? Who's taking this message and passing it on to their neighbors, to their friends, to their family? Are we really passing on that message? This is just amongst us as Muslims. Are we doing it even to the other Muslims? We're not in a Muslim country. Are we doing it to everyone else? This is the sad thing. This is what's in my heart. Is to say, are we passing on this message? You know, are we like postmen or not? Are we getting the message, the letter, and we're taking it to people's doors or not? This is the sad thing that I want to pass on. So, the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever has sihr done for him or practiced sihr is not from us. And the Prophet ﷺ said in another hadith, whoever knots a knot and blows in it has committed sihr. And whoever has committed sihr has committed shirk. And whoever hangs something, he leaves into where he's hanged. I.e., when you hang a ta'weez on your neck, no matter what's in it, you are left to it. Maybe a stone or a shell or a ta'weez, you are left to it. It will protect you, it will do everything for you if you believe that. But it's all batil. It's all an illusion. And what's not illusion is dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's not an illusion. That is real. I mean, where else do you want me to say? You know, that people come to me, and I'll show you. This is a family, a bag, I think it was a kilo. It weighed about a kilo, and I only took some of it. Okay, this, what do you call this? What is this called? Okay, everyone know what this is, isn't it? This is a knot. Okay, this is a knot. This person was ill, maybe affected by ain. Okay, and they've gone to this magician, and he's knotted a knot for them. That's all it is. And they couldn't just open it like this. Bismillah. Okay, and this is what the talk is about today. It's to bring your ta'weezes, isn't it? Isn't that right? Everyone to bring their ta'weez. But I bet none of you bring any ta'weezes because all of you look like, mashallah, practicing brothers. You see? Everyone here is a practicing brother. So the event was for what? For people that don't actually come to mosques. You know? Bismillah. So anything I read today? There you go. That's finished. Okay, now this sihr was done to this sister. Now it's destroyed. She doesn't know that we just destroyed it, but inshallah she felt something that lifted. So brothers and sisters, this is what the talk is about. And tell you the truth, this is enough for a talk, isn't it? Isn't this enough? Do we need any more? We need actually to do something about it. We need to get up and talk about it. And talking about sihr, is it the main issue, or is it the issue of tawheed? Turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you understand? Everyone wants to talk about jinn. Everyone wants to talk about sihr and ayn. But who do you talk that to? Do you talk that to the general public? Or do you talk that to specific people? There's some things we talk to the general public and some things we talk to specific people that are practitioners on the field. But unfortunately, I feel that everyone's taking this as a show. It's like a show. But let me tell you what the magicians do. The magicians, for instance, will tie, this knot will be tied and they'll make an issue of it. He'll untie the knot, and as he unties the knot, he'll pretend that he got knocked out, and he'll get up and make a drama about it. And everyone will get scared. And that's what sihr is to lie, it's to deceive you. It's to deceive you. So don't open your ears to people that are there to deceive you. A lot of people come on maybe on YouTube or on the screen and talk about sihr or talk about ayn or jinn, but what's the intention behind it? That's the issue. What is the intention behind it? It's to call to people to la ilaha illallah, or to call to people to themselves. And that's what magicians do. They call you to them, not to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what are the characteristics of a magician? The characteristics of a magician, they claim piety, and they claim that they are friends of Allah, and they have the secret name of Allah, and they have the ring of Sulaiman. They claim they have contact with angels and spirits and even the dead people they can talk to. But none of you believe this. None of you believe this. So everyone's shaking their head, no we don't. You're basically wasting your time giving us this talk. Which, tell you the truth, this is what they claim to be. But all of you can see through that. But the ones that you cannot see through are the ones who come wearing the cloak of Islam. The ones that come and say we are Muslims, and they don't tell you the truth about them. You find them in mosques, okay? And they say to you, for instance, you are possessed, and you say to them, and this is what happens to me when they come to me. People come to me and say, I went to Fulan, and I say, okay, what did he say to you? He said, I'm possessed. I said, why did he say you're possessed? I don't know. Well, how can you take that from him? I have sihr. Why did he say that you have sihr? They say, I don't know. So people are open to be brainwashed. Why? It's because maybe they don't understand the subject in depth. So do we need to talk about it? So there are signs and symptoms of people who are afflicted. But do you talk about this with the general public or not? This is the scholars that say you shouldn't be just talking about this anywhere, because you're putting fear into people's hearts. And it's not my intention. My intention is to say, brothers and sisters, we need some form of awareness that these ta'weezes are sihr. You go in to these people who practice sihr, and some of you know it and some of you don't know it. Like an example, in the bookshops, they're selling these books. If only we had it. They're selling these books. We didn't bring the book. They're selling these books with ta'weezes, and it's called The Prophet's Medicine. The book is called The Prophet's Medicine, The Savior. Okay? And it's being translated from Gujarati into English, and it has boxes and grids, and basically it's a sihr. And it even shows you, it tells a woman how to make your husband love you and so on. And this is a sister who brought me the book just yesterday. And she says, is this okay, is it not? And she had Tib al-Nabawi. I said, Tib al-Nabawi is fine. by Ibn Qayyim, but this book is not. But these books are getting sold in Islamic bookshops. So all you need to do is go through the Islamic bookshops, look at the books, and if you open it, you'll find the grids and boxes. This is sihr. There's no doubts about that. Unfortunately, we don't have the book here with us. What else do they claim? The magicians, they claim they can catch jinn. Has anyone heard this? Has anyone heard these people that claim they can catch jinns? Jinn catchers? Well, these people have been deceived by shaitan themselves. Okay? I had a person who was a jinn catcher. He was one of the jinn catchers. What they do is they read on somebody, and then the jinn will speak. And then they say, okay, I'm going to kill you, or whatever they say to them. And then they say, we've got rid of him, but now your body's empty. We can call any other jinn into your body. Now, how did they get this information? I know exactly how they got that information. They got it from another shaitan that taught them this, who pretended to become a Muslim. He said, oh, I'm a Muslim now. But look, if you do this, and nothing's haram. Nothing seems haram here. Everything seems like it's legal. They said to them, look, if you just now the body's empty and you make that person make dua. So I make him make dua that this jinn in this body comes into you. And they actually told me, they said to me, we prove it, make dua that this jinn comes into you. And I'm like, I'm not making that dua. Am I stupid? Why am I going to make that dua? That's dhulm. I'm going to put oppression on myself. But the jinn knew that at a certain time of the day, a dua can be answered. He knows shayateen have knowledge. Did you know that shayateen have knowledge? Everyone knows that shayateen have knowledge. They taught Abu Hurairah Ayat al-Kursi. Didn't they do that? So these jinns, basically what they've done, they've whispered in these brothers, who have been misled, and thinking they can catch a jinn. They can't catch a jinn. This is another branch of bewitchment and lying to people. So they claim they can catch jinn. What do they look like? They can come from all walks of life. They can come from different races and religions. They can be young or old. Doesn't matter how old they are. They can be female or male. They can wear any clothing. So they can wear black, white, any clothing. Each magician, for some reason or another, wears a certain type of clothing. Sometimes they wear a special ring or a scarf just to show allegiance to a certain tribe of the jinn. Some of them, not all of them. But anyway, you can find them anywhere. You can find them in shopping malls. You can find them in mosques, in synagogues, in churches, from anywhere. What do they ask you for? They ask you for your name and your mother's name. Who knows all of this? Everyone knows this, yes? Everyone here knows they ask you for your name and your mother's name. Like I said, all of you have this knowledge. But unfortunately, this knowledge is not getting passed on to your neighbors, to your friends, and to some other people. Now, I'm going to give you a story. This story actually is very important. And he's a brother who prays with us in the masjid. And if he sees my video, at least now he can take action, because he can take the advice. When I was invited to his house to see his mother, who was suffering from ayn, and it's not no problem. Ayn, you do your ruqyah, you do the medicine and the program, and inshallah you go away. And so what happened was, as I was doing ruqyah to his mum, the signs were clear, the ayn was clear, but he said to me, I've got my son who can help you. I said, okay, how? He said to me, yes, I'll call him down. But I knew what he meant. Basically saying to me that his son's got a jinn inside of him, and his jinn can help me. Because I know this, but I just went along with him. So he rang his son down, and he said to me, he's here. So I started reading verses of punishment. Now the jinn claims to be a Muslim. Okay, he claims to be a jinn Muslim. So I started reading verses of punishment. The boy's face started to get tense, and I said to him, you didn't like that, did you? He said to me, no, I didn't like that. He was only 10 years old. The boy was only 10 years old. And how did he learn this? It was another so-called Maulana who came to visit the house to do ruqyah on his father, and then said to him, look, your son has got something special, we use him. But it wasn't using him in anything good. It was only evil. And his son now is still afflicted, and he's not doing nothing about it. I tried to advise the son. I said to him, the father, I said to him, this is wrong. This shouldn't be done. But he didn't want to take my advice. He didn't ever call me back again. But this is what's happening in our community. And wallahi, after Fajr, he sits right next to the wall and he makes dhikr till sunrise. But he doesn't understand. He's been taught something wrong. And he thinks it's okay. And his son now can grow up to be a magician, because he's possessed by a shaitan. This is something that needs to be addressed. But people don't talk about it. they'll ask you to slaughter an animal at a particular time of day. These are magicians, okay? They'll ask you to slaughter an animal without mentioning Allah's name and give it to the Muslims to eat. I bring it to the masjid, give it to the Muslims, and it's been slaughtered without Allah, putting Allah's name. Not put doubts in you, that no one gets sinned for that, but this is the way the devilish shayateen will do. They will make you slaughter an animal and leave it in the wilderness. So you slaughter an animal, even if you say Bismillah, some of them will say, it doesn't matter, say Bismillah, but you've put it in the wilderness, that no one's going to eat it, it's waste, and it's haram. He could also ask you for blood to smear on the person's body, ask you for certain expensive bukhur to light up in a certain time of the day. They can ask you to light up candles of certain colors like red, green, and all different colors. They'll tell you to stay away from people for a certain amount of time in the dark, or not talk to people for a certain period of time. What they may give you, they might give you a ta'weez, and everyone knows what a ta'weez is. And they might give you a knife, a padlock, a ring, a necklace, and inside of it will be engraved certain symbols and numbers. And these are sihr. But unfortunately, Muslims are still doing this, and they come to us with these things until they feel the negative effects, and they come running saying, oh, we went to somebody who was wrong. Like an example, a brother came to me just 3 days ago. He said to me, oh, I wasn't practicing, I was weak in my iman, so I went to this man, an African man, and he said that he can get me a spouse. So he paid him sums of money, and then afterwards he felt like he had to go back to him each time, and every time he went back to him he felt good, but he didn't get the wife. So he thought, no, this is not a good deal. So he tried to keep away from him, but he felt like something drawing him to this man. So he came to see me. But what was wrong here? What was wrong? He's actually looking to get affected. He's looking to get possessed. And people do get possessed when they go to these people. They do get possessed. As soon as you walk in their door or they hug you, you get possessed. Because why? Because your iman is not there no more. As we know, iman, for a Muslim, when he commits a sin, what happens to his iman? It lifts up like the iman is not there. Until he comes back to his senses, then the iman comes back when he repents. But that's the reason why these people get possessed when they go to these places. How does one become a magician? Now, when you visit these people, like these jinn catchers, okay? These jinn catchers got, trapped into this. So when you visit these magicians and faith healers, fake raqis, and psychics and hypnosis, they'll ask you to start worshipping Allah or to become more spiritual. And they'll say to you that you have a special gift and you have a strong energy. And they might give you a ta'weez to put underneath your pillow, and this is a true story. Okay? But I'm going along what's written in the books as well, and this has actually happened. A brother from Yemen went to Yemen, and this actually happened to him, and this is something that is documented in books. So he'll give you a ta'weez to put underneath your pillow, and then what will happen? A jinn will come to you in your dream, and he'll give you a jewel, and then from there you'll start wanting to sin while you're praying. It's very important that you start praying, or you are spiritually connected. So if you're not a Muslim, they'll ask you to go to church, or if you're not religious, they will tell you to do meditation. It's something that is spiritual. So the brother, the same thing happened to him. His uncle said to him, start praying. And he got approached by this jinn, and this jinn actually gave him this jewel. What happened to the brother? He started to grow his nails. He didn't even know he's growing his nails till I said to him, look, your nails. He started to wear all black. He didn't even notice that he's wearing all black. What else happened to you? Your nightmare will start from there. Your nightmare will start. You will start thinking of sins of like adultery and incest and pedophilia. These are the kind of things that will give you waswas. For you to commit sin and feel sad and upset that Allah does not love you, and then they'll take you. They'll make you desperate. And then once they get you in that state, then they'll make you call upon them and seek refuge in them, because they're the ones that are going to protect you now. You belong to them. So these are the things that they tell you to do. They'll ask you to disbelieve in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They'll ask you to disbelieve in Allah. They'll ask you to stay in the dark for 40 days, and they'll do some indecency to you. That's the reason why you stay for 40 days in the dark. They'll ask you to bring a sacrifice to a devil. And they'll tell you to do dirty things to the Quran, which I will not mention in this masjid. They'll ask you to write the Quran backwards. something that I missed out. The Prophet ﷺ said that whoever knots a knot and blows on it has committed magic. And if everyone knows here, magic is something that you have to seek. It is knowledge. It's not something that you just get. Okay? But if you play around with magic, okay, you will get affected by the jinns. They will attack you. They will possess you. They will cause you havoc because you've opened a door for them. Okay, it's happened to some sisters. She was only 14 years old and she was in love with somebody, so she went into the internet and she downloaded a diagram and started to do a witchcraft spell. She got possessed. I don't want to tell you what she got possessed by because it was a nightmare. And the sister was suffering for years. She was not a Muslim, by the way. She became a Muslim. And even though she was afflicted by these enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This dunya is not worth a wing of a mosquito. This is a hadith. The majority of this ummah will die between the age of 60 and 70. Whoever practices sihr, and this is the message to the Sahara, male and female, that you've sold your eternity, paradise, you've sold it for nothing, for misery in this life. A sahir will never be successful. The sahir will never be successful. وَلَا يُفْلِحُ السَّاحِرُ حَيْثُ أَتَى. This is our belief, okay? And they live in suffering. They live in torment. These jinns control them. They don't control jinn. By the way, jinns don't have the knowledge of the unseen. These people who go to these sahirs, they want to know certain things that are hidden from their sight. I.e., am I possessed? Who stole my thing? Who made me hate my husband? And so they don't know the knowledge of the ghaib. And once you go to these magicians, they will make you work for them. If something works for you from these magicians, God forbid, you go to a magician, for instance, and you want this woman to marry you or love you or something of the sort, and then she does, what's going to happen? You're going to start calling people to that magician. And you calling people to that magician, you're going to get sin after sin for the sins that he's committing. It's same as those who call to good, you get the reward for everyone that comes to that good. So these magicians are nothing but a cancer to society. It is a serious matter, these magicians. It's not something that it's not in our community. It is, they do exist. But we just don't see them. And that's why it's sihr. It's something that is hidden. That's the literal meaning of sihr. It's something that is hidden. It comes from the root word of sahara. And which the word comes, suhoor, is when we eat before we break our fast, or to start fasting, suhoor. It's the end of the night and it's the most darkest part of the night, before Fajr. So that's why it's called sihr. It's called sihr because it's hidden. That's why we don't see magicians just walking around doing magic. They do it hidden. But they're everywhere. They're on the internet, they're advertising on newspapers, and so on. There is a man that walks up and down the UK, and he's a Sikh man, and he approaches sisters, and I don't know if he approaches kuffar or not, but he approaches sisters, okay? And he approaches them, he touches them, he says to them, I know your problem. Now this sister, she's only 17 years old. He approached her and she was engaged with a fiance and she got broke up with her fiance and she was going to college, and this man who was a Sikh approached her and said to her, I know your problem, I can help you. And he put a piece of paper in her hand. And that's it. And he locked her hand and he walked away and she broke down crying. This is her story. So she went home. About 3 days later, she ended up phoning him. But to me, I was like, how did he know she had a problem? It's because she was possessed. And his jinns obviously saw her jinns. Okay? And that's how they work. And the jinns, they work for this magician to show him that you can have anyone you want. So she phoned him. He convinced her that she has to pay him £500 and rent a hotel. So she stole her mother's gold. Okay? Sold it. She tells me the story. And then she rented a hotel. And he indecently assaulted her with her own will to get her boyfriend back. This is what's happening. She was only 17 years old. Okay? And she was possessed. Another sister story is that her mother and her father was about to split. They were going to divorce. But her cousins and her family said they know somebody who's good at his job, sihr. So she went to him. She was again another 17-year-old. And this sister's story, wallahi, is sad. And the way she's afflicted is really bad. She said to me that, and this is after a long sessions of ruqyah, like maybe 5 or 10. And the things she had was not good. She would get up and scratch the wall with magic. It's actually anyone that came into that room and saw her, they would get scared. But the sister, mashallah, she does really good work in Islam. She's really good sister, mashallah, may Allah give her shifa. She said she went to this magician because I said to her, you have to tell me what happened. You have to tell me. So she said she went to this magician, he made her drink alcohol. And then he indecently assaulted her, and that's when she got possessed by these jinns. So this is what's happening in London, let alone in the other countries. Sihr can affect many things. Sihr of separation, sihr of blockage, sihr of sickness on the body, and sihr of madness, and sihr of murder, and sihr of love and control and depression, and other things like adultery and misconduct. I mean, you know, these are the things that's happening on the streets, but who is willing to, you know, to talk about this, and not like in gatherings like this, but talk about it with families, like, you know, to their children, say, look, be careful. Like my son and his friends, they saw one of their friends who just came up from abroad, and he was from Spain, and he just came to the country, and he was wearing a bracelet. And my son and his friends, they knew this was not right. This bracelet was magic. So they said to him, look, you know, you need to be looked at, because he was acting funny. He wasn't acting normal. So they brought him, and subhanAllah, when we read on him, we found that he was affected by jinn. The jinn said that he took somebody else's magic. This wasn't meant for him. So magic, you can be affected by magic even if it wasn't meant for you. It could be done by accident. But I want everyone to kind of remember from this talk, most people are not affected by magic. Most people are affected by ayn. Now I mentioned the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ about his affliction of sihr and how he was affected for 6 months. Can anyone tell me how to get rid of sihr from that hadith? Anyone? Quran. It's a step-by-step guide from the hadith.
You need to find
The sihr. That's good.
knots or whatever.
Okay, anything else?
Make dua.
That's key. But before making dua, what's before that? Adhkar. The Prophet ﷺ always made adhkar. He used to pray qiyam al-layl at that time. But what is step-by-step guide? So if you were to meet somebody that was affected by sihr, what would you say to them? Go to Abu Nadeer? You wouldn't say that to them, would you? I wouldn't advise you to do that. Follow the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ. What was it?
To bring the ta'ween.
No, it wasn't. Think about it. We mentioned it. The Prophet ﷺ was affected for 6 months. I'm going to try and repeat the story again. For 6 months. Make dua. Somebody said that already. Pardon? Destroy the magic. No. You're going to kick yourself when I tell you what it is. Hijama? No, because hijama didn't get rid of the sihr. It only lessened the effect of sihr or the pain. Pardon? Continuous dua. That's very key, but before that. Ruqyah, no, the Prophet didn't do Ruqyah. Nope. See, this is the problem. This is the problem that I find every day. People come to me and I'm thinking, why didn't you just do this? It's key. You are the soldiers of Allah. You need to help people. This is why you're on this land. Shaitan doesn't want you to help people. Do you know that? He wants you to stay in the house. Maybe just watch TV. Maybe watch football. Astaghfirullah. I don't believe you're like that anyway. But the first thing is to accept. Sorry. It's to acknowledge. No. Acknowledge. The person didn't know he was affected by sihr. He was the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Self-acknowledgement.
Pardon?
Self-acknowledgement.
First, it's to acknowledge. You can't. People who are affected by sihr don't know they're affected. So it's usually the people, the family will say, look, brother, something's wrong. You need to sort something out. You might have an anger issue. You might be slacking your deen. Something might be wrong in your income. Every time you try a business, it's not working. Okay? And you keep knocking on the door and it's not working. Okay? So the first thing is to acknowledge the problem. Then when acknowledging the problem is to accept. Second is to accept it. Then thirdly is to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember the Prophet ﷺ used to make dua every day. Do qiyam al-layl. Okay? But, so the steps of getting rid of sihr is what? Is to acknowledge the problem, accept it, then make dua. Only make dua is you are certain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer your dua. You have to be certain.
How can you acknowledge the problem if you don't know you're affected?
Your family would know that you're affected. So if you're not affected, you're not affected. But if there's a problem if there's a problem that you have, for instance, you've got an anger issue, you're always shouting at your family, well then, if your family says to you, look, why are you getting upset? What's the reason? And there's no reason for you to get upset, then you have to start saying, I need to make dua to Allah. Straight away. So the Prophet ﷺ, when Aisha said to her, do you not have any interest in us? What did he do? He made dua after dua. He didn't run to somebody, he made dua after dua. So when he made dua after dua, what did Allah Azza wa Jal do? He showed them where the sihr was. So he went and got the Sahaba to destroy the sihr, and that was the end of the story. The sihr was, why? It's the first principal steps. Aisha radiallahu anha was affected. She was amongst the Sahaba, scholars of the Sahaba. She was affected by sihr. She fell ill, and her nephew went and asked a gypsy doctor, and he said she has symptoms of sihr. And they asked her slave girl, and she confessed that she practiced sihr on her. So she was ordered to be sold. Hafsa radiallahu anha, the daughter of Umar al-Khattab, she was affected by sihr. Okay? Now these are hadiths and sayings in the seerah that people were affected by sihr, and sihr is real and people are affected by it. But because of its nature, it's hidden. And if you are practicing, mashallah, tabarakallah, it won't affect you as much as somebody who's not practicing. Barakallahu feekum. Okay. Pardon?
Is there a special dua you make when you realize you have it? Specific dua or just dua?
No, it's just like, for instance, if you have a problem in your life, for instance, you have a problem with a friend, a serious problem, that you two are very close, and all of a sudden that you two seem like you're just being separated. Okay? But see what you just asked, this is what I do, this is my work, this is what I do. What you just asked, now I have to explain. It's usually there's a drive, before sihr, there's a drive, and that drive is envy. And the envy, you don't really need sihr to affect the person. It affects them straight away. So what the envious person does, he's not patient with his envy. This is how envious he is. He goes to a magician to do sihr. But his envy was enough. Because the envious one, shayateen follow him, and they use his envy to attack you. Does that make sense? Does anyone understand that? Yeah?
You didn't answer my question. Is there a specific dua you make?
You make that specific dua, oh Allah, what is wrong with my situation? You ask Allah, oh Allah, show me a sign, show me something. There's not a specific dua, for instance, in hadith or the sunnah concerning sihr. There's ruqyah that you read, Surah Al-Baqarah, for instance. Okay, that came, that the batala, that the magicians cannot fight with it, cannot come close to it. Barakallahu fiqh.
Sorry, brother. Just to, can we give the brother the time to finish his lecture, and inshallah we'll take all the questions from it, because otherwise he may sort of forget a few points which may be important to us, inshallah. We'll leave him and we'll be taking, inshallah, the questions straight afterwards, inshallah.
Okay, barakallahu fiqh. Okay, so, no, it's okay. This is what I actually do. I do workshops. I don't do talks like I'm a scholar, because I'm only Iraqi. Just that to be clear. Okay, I'm all the same as everyone. So, what are the signs and symptoms? Now, the signs and symptoms of sihr are different to the signs and symptoms of ayn and jinn possession, but they're very similar. I'm not going to tell you them what sihr is. I'm going to talk about them generally. Okay, seeing animals in your dream. Okay, seeing black cats. This is what the Raqis have all come together. This research has been done for years and years, and they've come to the conclusion that most people are affected by sihr or ayn or jinn possession. They see these things in their dream. Black cats, black dogs, lizards and snakes and scorpions. Please do not panic and run out of this room if you see these things. It doesn't mean that you have sihr if you see these, because there's different meanings for each thing. Okay, scorpions and all types of reptiles. Seeing spiders and ants. Seeing demons and jinns and ghosts, figures of people without faces, seeing people with masks, seeing them very tall or very short. Some people say they see them in a smoky color body form, and they look very scary. And having nightmares, okay, is all a sign of somebody that might be afflicted. Fighting with individuals, seeing yourself intimate with a stranger frequently, or being raped, and the person who witnesses this wakes up distressed. This is usually, could be anyone, it could be male or female. This could be from opposite genders or even the same. So seeing these dreams, like give an example, like a snake. In books that are written on the subject, Ruqyah, if you see a snake, that means you have sihr. That's not true. If you see a snake, it could mean that you don't pray. It could mean that you have a debt. And this is more a subject for people who interpret dreams. Not for Raqis, but it's a general kind of, for us it's a sign, an indication that other symptoms go along with it. So there's other symptoms during the day and there are symptoms when you're asleep and so on. Signs and symptoms during sleep. Insomnia, can't go to sleep. When you're just about to go to sleep, you just feel like you're fully awake. Okay, and that doesn't mean that you're possessed if you get this. You might be stressed out from work. You might be excited about something tomorrow, the next day, and things like that. So, or in debt, or focusing on the project. Sleep paralysis. Now, sleep paralysis is a really interesting one. Sleep paralysis, a lot of people suffer from this and they complain about it. But it doesn't mean that you're constantly possessed. It can mean something's passing by, possessed you for a time, and then left you. Or it can mean that jinns entered you, or is there, and that's the way it enjoys itself with you. It just causes you a sleep paralysis. Disturbed sleep is another sign. Finding it hard to get out of bed in the morning. Physical symptoms are tightness of the chest, anxiety, feeling tired during the day, headaches with no medical cause. Unexplainable bruises is another sign. Scratches on the body, and sometimes names are scratched on the body. Sometimes the jinn wants you to know he's there. Yeah, they write their names, they will tell you their name, which is quite strange. Or sometimes people wake up with a different color hand tone. The hand of his will wake up and they'll say that it's henna, and it's sometimes brown. Physical symptoms, pins and needles for no medical reasons, hot and cold flushes, excessive sweating, feeling something move in the stomach, movement in the pelvic floor for women, unexplainable pain in the womb. Feeling pain while being intimate with the husband is another sign. Signs and symptoms in behavior, sudden mood swings, unexplainable anger, anger for the smallest of things, spending a long time in the bathroom talking to oneself, lack of hygiene, not showering and not being clean. Severe waswas is another sign. Negative thoughts, suicidal thoughts, desire of being alone. These are all signs, and the signs go on and on and on. But these signs are not to put fear in you. Everyone can go through these signs and they could just go away. If somebody was just to pray 5 times a day in the mosque, make his dua, adhkar al-sabah, read a portion of the Quran, and inshallah, these things will go away. If they don't go away and they become more severe, then that person needs to seek some more attention, advice from somebody else that has an insight, understanding of this. So, signs and symptoms in worldly affairs. Extreme difficulty in education or getting a job or marriage or having children. Unexplainable constant failure. Always, you try to do something, you're always failing. But this could be a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It doesn't mean go and run to a soothsayer and ask him what's wrong with me. That's what people are doing. Okay, and that's why we're talking about it here today. These are signs and symptoms not for you to run to a soothsayer. These are signs and symptoms for you to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are signs and symptoms so you can call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Signs and symptoms that you must fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's a test. So how to protect yourself? So we mentioned Ayat al-Kursi throughout the whole day. Reading Ayat al-Kursi, Falaq wa Nas is protection for you from all elements, sihr, ayn and jinn possession. If you were to read Falaq wa Nas, you'll find it's a lot of protection in it. Ayat al-Kursi, last verse of Surah Al-Baqarah. These are very powerful ayats that you can use for yourself, and this is what the Prophet came and teach us. If we were just to follow what the Prophet taught us, we would be, alhamdulillah, in a better way. Now, the Prophet and the Sahaba were the best people that walked on this earth, but they still got affected. And they still were doing the afkar and they were still reading the Quran, but the effect wasn't so bad. Most people, when they get affected by these elements, i.e. sihr or ayn, what's really affected is their deen. It's the deen that gets affected, it gets dented. They start going far away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the problem. This is the problem why we're here. They're looking for something else. The shaitan that's in them is actually telling them to go to a soothsayer. So instead of going to a soothsayer, know the wisdom behind you getting afflicted. You might have sihr or ayn or jinn possession, but what is the wisdom behind it? The wisdom behind it is so you can turn to Allah and surrender yourself to Allah and call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Barakallahu feekum. And I hope that I covered nearly everything, I hope. That's what I hope. Okay. You know, we were expecting we're going to have young enthusiastic brothers that want to go run around breaking ta'weezes. So this is why we bring some ta'weezes to show this is from one family. Okay, and they done it to themselves. It's not like somebody done it to them. Most people think that sihr is done to them by somebody, but they done it to themselves. This is from the same family. Same family. Okay, I'm going to show you. I don't want to show you anything scary. I just want to show you something that will make sense. Okay, so these are the things they give them to wear. Okay, now if you want to cut that, open it and show them what's inside.
Is there anything specific that should be inside?
If you should done your adhkar sabah al-masa. But don't fear, because it doesn't affect you only by Allah's will. Do not be scared.
Scissors.
Now I was told not to relate any stories of breaking ta'weezes and what happens at a time of breaking ta'weezes, not to make people scared. So I'm not going to tell you what happens. So these are the things that people sometimes wear. We might think there's nothing wrong with wearing this. Okay, I'm bringing you something that will not scare anyone. There's no sihr on this. Can you see everyone? No sihr done on this. But it's got Allah's name on there. It's got Kaaba on there, and it's got Allah's name again in all different writings. But what's wrong with wearing this? We mentioned the hadith.
Because it's black.
Pardon?
It's black color and you get possessed.
You trust
To trust yourself.
in the item itself.
Yes, that's the reason. That's the danger. That your trust now is left on this. So when they came to see me, they just drop it, say, no, I'm not going to trust this no more. They left it. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll bring it. This is harmless, really, doesn't it? There's nothing wrong with this. Harmless, only got Allah's name in there. But this is something that's interesting. This is a sister who was possessed by... Because what they do, the jinns actually make you wear these things. And they make you buy these things like this. They make you buy these things here. This is from a sister. I called it the evil within. She dropped it in a marketplace, and I don't know if this is true or not. This is from what she said, okay? And I can't verify it. She dropped this, and she found it at home. She found it back at home. She dropped it in the market, then she went home, she found it again. Okay? A really evil, nasty jinn. And how did she get possessed by that jinn? She went back home, and they asked one of these soothsayers to help her. So what they do, they put a muwakkil inside of her. And from the young age of 5 years old, he grows up with her. What happens? He falls in love with her. What happens? He makes a divorce. And then he makes her go around, makes her marry the wrong person, so she divorces again. Then she stays alone and never ever gets married. And the jinn takes her for himself. So this here, okay, is just, it seems like, okay, it's fa'ain, we don't really believe in it, we just hang it, maybe it'll do something, maybe or not. That's the way they talk. Okay? But this is shirk. You've actually committed shirk. And you've asked jinns to possess you.
Is there any specific way why this is...
Have a guess. There's no science to it. I'm not, you know.
No, why it's like this?
Oh no, I don't know. This is fascinating. Like, it's fascinating. Like, yeah. It's just exactly how you just, that's normal, natural what you just said. Yeah. They want to make it fascinating. He could just fold it up normally, couldn't he? But they want to make it like it's something there. It's nothing, it's all batil. This is another thing they put in their shops. But this all calls, you know what this does? This calls for shayateen to come to your house. Seems like there's nothing there, isn't it? But the jinns, this is what they want you to have in your house for them to enter. Remember the Prophet ﷺ, when he had a curtain and he had pictures on, the angel Jibreel ﷺ did not come, did he? For a month. Okay? The reason why is because they had pictures. In another narration, there was a puppy that was dead underneath the bed of the Prophet ﷺ.
Can you just explain?
Okay, so brothers, mashallah, who are...
Brothers and sisters, very quickly, the number we gave out earlier for the questions, It was actually incorrect. My apologies. If you'd like to take the note of the number again, it's 07469 147 967. So all questions to that number, please. 07469 147 967. Barakallahu fi.
By the way, by now I'm finished. There should be no questions because I've covered everything, haven't I? I've opened up everything. I didn't read from the paper. So this here, the brother wants me to explain what it is. And I'm like, how do you want me to say what it is? I mean, who am I? I'm not the magician who wrote it. Yeah. So no, this is sihr. Okay, it's got grids and boxes, and the person himself who wrote this could be possessed. Okay, most of these people who are magicians are possessed from jinn. I'll give you another example of the writing of a jinn. I actually told the jinn one time to write, and he actually showed me how they do sihr. So this here, the scribbling here, it looks like it's nothing. When we open it, we see it as nothing. It's just scribbling. There's nothing there. But this is jinn writing. But I can't verify it. I can't prove it. But this is what they say. Okay? So that's the disclaimer. I can't prove it. They say it's jinn. This is writing against sihr. And the brothers like to decode sihr. I don't understand why do you want to decode sihr. Do you know why they want to decode sihr? It's to find out who done the sihr. It's to find out who done the sihr. Why would somebody want to divorce that man's from his wife? Who could it be? His cousin, the maid, and they look at the sihr and they say it's her. Okay, let's take her, let's imprison her. That's why they decode sihr. But for me to decode some sihr that people went to a magician to get cured from a certain illness, doesn't make sense, does it? Do I really need to decode it? Because they tell me the man where he lives. That's what the decoding sihr is for. Okay? So that's, again, so all this writing is just, like the scholars say, mumbo jumbo. There's no need to read it. You just put it in water. Okay? If we have a container of water, we can just show them how to destroy this. Sorry to play this down, but this is what you're supposed to do. You play sihr down. You don't give it anything. It's nothing. It's irrelevant. Get it out of your lives. Alhamdulillah, all of you here, this doesn't affect any of you. Sah? Am I right? None of you have this. But it's people that maybe around you that carry things like this in their house or in their cars, thinking that they got something that's protecting them, when it's not. It's actually calling evil things to come to them. So these people, like I said, going back, they went to somebody to get a cure. Okay? And that's why they got so much of it. This should be hidden and no one can see, but it's not hidden anymore, is it? It's out in the open. So it's going backwards, isn't it? Okay, Wasim? You said you wanted to break ta'weezes and people are going to break. Here's the ta'weezes. What are you going to do with them?
The show that you don't have to exactly do it step by step.
Okay. So now, when you have somebody like a neighbor who brings you something like this, I'm going to tell you a story. An Nigerian brother came to see me. This is about 15 years ago. And so I was in the musalla, and the brothers pointed at him and said, oh, take that brother there. I was young at the time, I think. So they said to him, so he came to me and his head was down like this. And he couldn't lift his head off. He couldn't lift his head up like this. So he grabbed my hand, he said, come with me. So I went with him, walked with him for a good 10 minutes. He took me into this house, and it was obvious it's not his house. And he was renting from an Asian family. And I walked into his room, and he had stuck on the wall a piece of paper, like a notepad paper, just the size of this or just smaller, a size of this, or just smaller. And it was a box with grids. And he said to me, he just pointed at it, he couldn't even talk about it. So I grabbed it, pulled it down, took it to the kitchen, put it in water, but it wouldn't dissolve because it was written with red ink. So I thought, okay. So I put it on the cooker and I burnt it. As I burnt it, subhanallah, his head lifted up from here to normality. That was the end of the sihr. It was finished. So this is inshallah, this is what we're going to do. We're going to open one of these ta'weezes so all of you can see how it's done. Okay, can I have mine? Thank you. Okay, is the camera getting this? Okay, and I hope the brothers that are here do not get scared to do this because your neighbors might need this to be done. Bismillah.
Is it written in English or Arabic?
What, the ta'weez?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what language it's written in. It could be even in Greek.
And just while you're doing that, Akhi, someone just asked a very relevant question. That if this is mumbo jumbo, as you say, why do we need to place this into the water? What's the purpose?
Okay, it's
putting it
good
into the
question.
water?
Now, this is what the jinns say. Okay, they are attached to the ta'weez. Can I prove that? I can't prove that, can I? So what is it? It's mumbo jumbo. Yes, it is a knowledge, it is this and the other, but this is only to put fear in your hearts. Now, if you want to really believe what I'm going to say, this was not written, this was all photocopied. Okay? This is photocopied. Okay? This was done to heal somebody, not to harm or kill someone. Okay? But it's all lies. It's making his heart attached to something that is not real. Okay? That person can be possessed because of this. Okay? And the jinn now has got authority. You gave him authority to enter you. You've attached your heart to something that's not real. This is the problem with it. Okay, so now this just needs to be burnt. This is really nothing. This one actually needs to be in water. This one here, bismillah. You put it in water like this. Pardon?
Do you have to recite on the water?
Okay, so do you need to recite in the water? Do you not need to recite in the water? The most important thing is to actually destroy this, okay, in any way or form. Why you're reciting it so you don't get affected, okay? So to be on the safe side is to read falaq on this. Why am I saying that? Is the knots when they're knotted, once it's unknotted, once the unknot is knotted, this is basically the science of breaking the sihr, this is the knot. And if you want to break the knot and it's finished, all you need to do is unknot it. And in the narration that Prophet ﷺ, he read every time he knotted an unknot, he blew in it with one verse. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ, and that was finished. Now the scholars say it's to blow in the water, it's safe. As anything that I read today, and any of you who read today, Adhkar al-Sabah al-Masa, or he prayed, he was reading the Quran, so it's still in you. The recitation or during that day is you just need to blow in the water. And that's it. That is, the water now has ruqyah in it. And any one of you can do this, not just me. And once it's in water, you can just destroy it like this, or you can wait for it to be dissolved. But I like to destroy it straight away, because you have to wait for a few days before it starts dissolving. The paper might dissolve and the ink doesn't dissolve yet. So once that's done, to me, I believe it's like you unknotted the knot. It's not attached anymore. The grids are not there, and that's destroyed. Okay, that's the ta'weez is done. It's broken. I'm finished. I'm done. Any questions and we can be finished.
I'll give it back to the brothers here and sisters as well upstairs. Do you want us to go through the question and answers before? I'm giving it, putting it back to the brothers and sisters as well upstairs. Would you like us to carry on and then pray Isha, or shall we pray Isha and come back for question and answers?
Should be sufficient to complete the whole questions now.
You've got good 10 to 12
So
minutes.
we'll take a few questions before the adhan, inshallah, and one between, and then if there are any other burning questions, inshallah, we'll ask people to come back after Isha, inshallah.
Okay, so one of the questions was, how does a person feel? What does a person feel when affected by sihr or ain?
When a person is affected by sihr or ain, like I said to the brother earlier, it depends on the person. Not everyone is the same. Everyone's signs and symptoms is different. It's okay to pick up a book and read it, and read the signs and symptoms like I just mentioned, but not everyone's the same. Okay, you might have a strong character that, for instance, your relationship with your wife might be strong, so it won't affect your marriage, but it'll affect another relationship, like at work, but it was intended for your marriage. So you start fighting with your boss. Do you understand? So if your marriage was a strong relationship, or your wife was very patient, it wouldn't really affect the sihr. It would affect somebody else that you relate with. Does that make sense? Have I just confused everyone? So everyone's different. The signs and symptoms that you read in the book is not just, it's not clear. So I hope I answered that question.
Somebody's messaged about something called Nuri Ilm, and I don't know if you've come across this word.
Okay, Nur al-Ilm, this is what they do. This is a ring, okay, and it's got Khatam Sulaiman on this. Khatam Sulaiman, it's a charm of, they claim it's Sulaiman's, what he used to have in his ring. And this is what they do. This is things they practice in places like all over the world, to tell you the truth. But it's funny how the ring is on the outside, the engraving is on the outside, not in the inside. Usually somebody will give you a ring and the sihr will be from the inside and it'll be hidden. Once you put that ring in, you'll get possessed by a demon. Okay? But this person, he couldn't have intimacy with his wife, so his wife took him to this man and gave him this ring. And he still couldn't be intimate with his wife. Not surprisingly. Okay? So this one needs to be grinded down and worn off. Okay, but the effect of this is when the person's wearing it. Okay. Nur al-Ilm, yes, Nur al-Ilm. Nur al-Ilm is basically knowledge of the shayateen. They tell them that we have knowledge that no one else has, and we'll teach you secrets of Allah Azza wa Jal, like Khatam Sulaiman, like I just showed you here. So this is what they call ilm. This here, this way it goes back down to, okay? And they'll tell you to stay in the cave for a certain period of time. And then you have somebody that come to you.
So it's the same as any other type of magic or... Okay. Somebody's asked how to treat evil eye. Inshallah, they've already got that answer.
What's the answer for evil eye? Okay, the evil eye, I didn't mention the cure for evil eye. Good question. Like I said, most people are affected by the evil eye and they don't know the cure. So what happens is they think somebody's done magic to them. The cure for the evil eye is straight away is to know who gave you the evil eye. If you know who gave you the evil eye, you can either ask them for their water, the wudu, and you can wash from that, and that will get rid of the evil eye straight away. But most people won't give you their water, would they? So what you need to do is, like Sheikh Rahmatullahi alayhi Uthaymin said, if they eat from a date, for instance, and you eat from the bone of the date, the seed, if they eat it and they put it in their saliva, there's DNA, you take that and you put it in water and you wash from it till the affliction goes away. And how do you know somebody gave you the evil eye? They will say something of amazement like, wow, what a beautiful car you have. Or wow, what a nice dress you have. Or wow, how do you do your hair? That wow is the evil eye. Straight away when somebody says wow, or any other term in slang, that you just now got the evil eye, depending on how strong his evil eye is. And it's not evil eye, that's another misinterpretation. It's called the admiring eye. The evil eye is from the jinn, or somebody who hates you. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Yeah.
Okay, next question, inshallah. Can jinns have a direct effect on mental illness? Obviously, it is a big topic, but if you could just...
They are specialists. Jinns
anxiety,
are specialists.
Paranoia, depression, are these all related to jinn possession?
They are specialists in this field.
Okay.
They are specialists, and this is wallahi, this is what they're good at. Okay, if they can run through your veins, they're good at this. And this is where we find the problem. The strongest type of afflictions is this, when they go to mental hospitals and when psychiatrists and doctors can't help them, they can't explain why they're going through what they're going through, and we can't. And it takes years. And even sometimes when people come to me, I don't believe they're affected by jinn, but they are.
Sheikh, I see that we are inundated with questions, mashallah, and I'm sure there are some burning questions within this ones. I don't know if the brothers feel that we'll stop so we can do the adhan and pray the Isha, inshallah. And if the brothers want to stay after Isha, by all means. Yeah?
Brother Abu Nadeer, inshallah, if you're ready, we can just crack on with the questions.
Can I just answer that question again about the ta'weez? I answered the ta'weez is only mumbo jumbo. that's what, as Muslims, that's how we should look at ta'weez. We shouldn't look at it as something that is great or something that has an effect on us.
Just before you, with regards to mumbo jumbo, someone's asked a question and it's just reminded me, so I'm asking. What about the ta'weez with Quran in it?
Yeah,
Just Quran.
Okay, so this is where. Okay, thank you. So the scholars say that ta'weez that has Quran in it and it's sealed and it's protected, it's allowed. That's what the scholars say. It's allowed. And I read the fatwa from the scholars, they say it's allowed. But who am I to say my opinion? It's not my opinion to say it's allowed or not. But from what I understand, that Quran is supposed to be read. Okay? And the people that can read it or can remember to memorize it is to take the thing that they hang around their neck and to read it. Like we carried the Quran with us. That time they used to memorize the Quran. So the scholars say it's allowed as long as it's sealed and no impurity can get to it. But today, many people don't have Quran on their necks. It's actually grids and boxes which calculate to be the devil's names, certain devil's names. But like I said, the example of this is this, as we mentioned, if you hang this like the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, whoever hangs something on his neck, he's left to it. That should be enough, sufficient for you to understand that you should not believe in anything but call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. The Prophet ﷺ was given concise words. He was given words that you're supposed to understand straight away. Whoever knots and blows in it has committed sihr. But we know that sihr is a knowledge that you must obtain and you must do certain rituals. And it takes time before you become a magician. Do you understand? But the Prophet ﷺ said, stay away from it. It's 7 major sins that you stay away from. Don't come close to it. So answering the question of what's inside the ta'weez, it is harmful because it draws the shayateen to you. And some people believe, and jinns say, they are attached to a ta'weez. And again, this is not information that we're being told by the Prophet ﷺ or in the Quran. But we know from the hadith that your iman is weak because your iman now is attached to something else than Allah.
A question I have here is, what can we do, how can we address magicians in today's day? So for example, how does one confront a magician? And what can we do living in this country? Obviously, what is the best method to tackle this issue?
I mean, magicians, they're not going to... They believe they're doing something right. That's the problem. They believe that they're doing something right. They believe these numbers calculate to be a certain calculation in the Quran. They don't believe they're doing sihr. They believe that they are doing something that is good. And now you have to sit down with them and say to them, this is wrong. And then you have to prove to them. But they won't listen to you because they fully believe that this has an effect. And some people wear this and they are affected by jinn or sihr or ayn, and all of a sudden they're not affected anymore. They wear this on their neck and they feel a bit of peace. Why did that happen? Why did that happen? Does anyone know? As all of you today, everyone should know the answer to this. Not just me. Everyone know? No? Yeah. Same with the jinn catchers. They go to the jinn catcher, they say they catch your jinn.
Afwan, brothers at the back, could you just keep it down please, inshallah? Jazakallah khair.
The same with the jinn catcher, they say we've catch your jinn, and then afterwards the jinn just comes up. He says, oh, I was just lying. It's the same thing. They deceive them, making them just wear this because we've done what they wanted you to do is commit shirk. They want you to commit shirk. They want you to go to hellfire. That's the whole purpose. That's what it's all about. It's for you to go to hellfire, and that's what they want from you. So they will leave you alone for a period of time. And if the jinn is really, really rebellious, even against Iblis, devils, they're rebellious against themselves, he will again torment the person, and then he'll go back to again and get another ta'weez, as you see here. There's not one ta'weez, there's a few ta'weez. So this person's gone back again. Oh, it's come back. Oh, you need another ta'weez. And you come back, you need another ta'weez. And so he's got a suitcase full of ta'weezes. Isn't it better to carry the Quran? If that was the logic, look how, and buy a big Quran as well. But this is crazy. So these ta'weezes that have no good but evil with them.
Okay. Can you maybe say a few words on magicians such as Dynamo or David Blaine? Obviously these type of people come on our TV, people follow these guys on social media, etc. What do you have to say on people like that?
Okay, so these magicians, you have to understand, the kuffar, they would love the fact that they have interaction with jinns. Did you know that? They would love to have communications with the unseen world. It's something that is fascinating to them. And if they can't communicate with the unseen world, they say it's fake, it's not real. These magicians, I don't think they claim to have contact with the unseen world. It's all tricks and trickery, and it's very convincing using cameras and TV. But it's all to do with entertainment. It's why are you watching it in the beginning? Because it does have an effect in the heart. The question is, my question to you is, why are you watching them? You know, why are you watching them? Why are you fascinated by them? You know, did you read the hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ about splitting of the moon? Tell him to split the moon in half. You can't do that. So there's nothing fascinating about them. It's all to do with entertainment and to mislead you and for you to follow them. And the scholars tell you not to watch these kind of things. Have I answered that question?
Someone's asked a question that a lot of people say that smoking and taking drugs, smoking the shisha pipe, etc., can have a direct effect with
Jinn possession?
no. Okay. It can have a direct effect on jinn possession and black magic. So, is there any evidence to back this up, or is there any experience?
When people come to me, I say to them, you know, when you're gonna, commit haram, do you say Bismillah before you do that? Do you say Bismillah? So when you're just about to smoke, do you say Bismillah? And then what's the answer?
No.
No. And if somebody was to eat food that's halal, what happens when he eats and he doesn't say Bismillah? Shaitan eats with him. Doesn't everyone know the hadith? That when you walk into your house and you don't say Bismillah, Shaitan walks in. And if you sit down and you eat, you don't say Bismillah, he eats with you. What about if you're committing a haram? We spoke about the effect of Iman, what happens when you commit a sin. It lifts away from you. And the jinns, this is what they say. They say that one of them said, I wanted to smoke, so I entered him. But
a jinn said that.
This is what they say. But this is not for us to fear the jinn. This is for us to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because we're disobeying him. And it's what the shayatan were created for, so we can run away from them and run to Allah. Do you understand?
Okay. Can jinns or do jinns expose themselves to humans? And if so, how?
They do. Especially if they want you to know they're there. If they're in love with somebody, they would want them to know that they're there. If they want to scare you and terrorize you, they would make you know that they're there. But if they're there just to eat and sleep and just a home to hide in, then they won't let you know. I'm talking from experience now, so this is different.
And in what format can they expose themselves?
They can do many things, like when they're desperate, especially when you start. See, I didn't want to go into this topic, to tell the truth. I would say it. When they're desperate and they feel like you're going to get rid of them, they will make sure that you know that they're there, and they're there because they love you and they want to protect you and they want to look after you and they want to do this and they want to do that. It's a real soppy story. They will say, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female, that's what they'll do. And then if you don't comply, they'll start harming you. That's what they'll do. But not to be scared of them, because they can't harm you only by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Sorry, I'm asking a question because they're using the mobile phone, which I usually use, so I cannot send a text message. Sheikh, would you say that the problem we have in nowadays of ta'weed and the jinn and all these sort of things, that it's coming because we don't read the Quran a lot, and we don't recite the dua as we usually do, because we see in this quite a lot nowadays that we're growing away from the Quran and Sunnah, and we sort of go into other things that we hope that will answer our problems and our need.
I mean, you answered the question already. It was clear. It was clear what you said. Most people, unfortunately, and I don't say the brothers in this room, most people, like Muslims, are unfortunately not practicing. They're sitting at home, forgetting their deen and forgetting their identity, and maybe scared even to call themselves Muhammad or Aisha. They're scared to call them names, so they are far away from remembering Allah Azza wa Jal. And shayateen would easily possess them and easily leave them. It doesn't make no difference to them. But unfortunately, like I mentioned in the beginning, the brothers that are practicing, brothers are coming to the masjid, what are we doing to help them and call them to Islam and to make them remember Allah Azza wa Jal? Because when we remind others, we remind them ourselves. And this is what the Ummah is for. It's to call people to Sirat al-Mustaqim.
Okay, next question is, can you explain to us what a person's repentance should be if they have previously been engaged in black magic, in sihr, or they've engaged with a jinn, and they've repented from it afterwards? What should be the process? What should the person do?
Okay. So if you've done sihr and you've actually harmed somebody, you need to ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive you, obviously, to repent from that. But if you've done sihr to somebody to harm them, then you need to give them their rights back. But obviously, if you told them that, they would get really angry. So you have to do it in a very wise way. That's one thing, is to give the person's rights back. Secondly, is to repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and not commit that crime again, and totally ask Allah Azza wa Jal's forgiveness, and Allah Azza wa Jal bi'idhnillah will forgive you. If you have interaction with jinn, ignore it totally, pretend they don't exist. Even though they exist, we know that, believe. But ignore it out of your head. If you hear the waswas, if you hear them talking to you, or if they come to you in your dream, just keep reading the Quran, making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. After a period of time, they will leave you alone.
If you don't know who did the ain, obviously the answer to your previous question was you can ask the person for the water from their wudu, but if you don't know who actually did the ain in the first place, then what should be your method of treatment?
Allahu a'lam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to Aisha, seek ruqyah. He said to her, seek ruqyah. He didn't say to her, do ruqyah. He said, seek ruqyah. Ruqyah is for ain. Okay, and it was allowed, and there's specific hadiths that say seek ruqyah from ain. So doing ruqyah, for instance, reading Qul huwallahu ahad, Qul a'udhu bil falaq, and Qul a'udhu bin nas, and blowing on your hands like this, and wiping over your body is ruqyah. Or asking somebody to do ruqyah for you is nothing wrong with that. Okay, it could be your mother, it could be your father, or your brother, or anyone in your family.
And that should get rid of it regardless of where it's come from.
It depends how strong the ain is. People are in a rush to get the cure, thinking they're going to get cured straight away when they get the ruqyah done. Sometimes it takes time. And there are certain signs and symptoms when the eye leaves. This is what I explain to people when they come to me. Because what they do, they go in a state of despair. So the ain is like I explain to them, it's like in layers. So when you walk somewhere, like you go to a shopping mall and you look like a Muslim, and people look, oh, there's a Muslim. Oh, look, there's a Muslim. Oh, look, there's a Muslim. Not to get paranoid, but it's a natural thing, isn't it? For people to look, oh, he's got a beard. Oh, he's got, a thobe. People are looking at you. They're giving you the eye, but you don't realize that. So you're getting affected, but you don't know. So there's layers on top of layers on top of layers of the eye till you get really ill, and then it has an effect on you. Okay, so what you need to do every time you go back home is practice the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and do ruqyah to yourself. Before you go to sleep, you read the quls, you wipe over your body, and that takes away the layers that are there. And the signs are you might start vomiting. Okay, that's the sign of the eye leaving your body. And most people say you have sihr. If you start vomiting, it's not. Okay, so sometimes you might start suffering from diarrhea, and that's the way your body is detoxing itself. Or doing hijama every month is another way of getting the bad negative stuff that's in your body, i.e. the ain. So reading the quls and wiping over in your body is a ruqyah to get away with the effects of the ain and other elements as well.
Jazakallah khair. Is it permissible to recite over water and drink that water with the ayat of the Quran?
Yes, it is permissible. The Salaf done that. Yeah, and it's permissible to write it as well with pure like ink, edible ink. It's allowed to do that as well.
Saffron.
Yeah, as long as you do it yourself, don't get anyone else to do it, especially peers and mawlanas and all these other soothsayers. Don't get them to do it for you, whatever you do.
Jazakallah khair. Can jinn or sihr problems of the sort be passed down through generations? Is there something to say?
Allahu a'lam. It can be, as they've said, that when somebody, for instance, is going to die, they get this, the parents. So the person's his parents are going to die, and then they will find a suitable body to possess. So they possess people through generations over generations. And Allahu A'lam, but this is what they say, and I can't verify that again. That's just words from the jinn. So I can't, Allahu A'lam.
Okay. There's a bit of a long question. I'm going to read it direct from the message. My question is, my sister has had OCD for 15 years. Many years ago, my parents tried to help her but didn't have the correct knowledge. So they invited my Arabic teacher, who I know practiced magic. He gave many ta'weed to hang around the house and put candles outside the house that were buried under the soil. Many years later that I realized this was wrong. I found some of them and threw them away. Also, the teacher wrote some grids on plates and asked my sister to eat from those plates. Could the effect still be there even though we threw the ta'weed away? Also, I know where the teacher lives. Should I contact him for any information to undo the magic?
No. This person you should stay away from. This is how people go crazy. When you go to people like this who do sihr again, on top of somebody who's basically suffering from ayn, and you go to a magician who starts calling other jinns, and they call so-called Muslim jinns. They call them muwakkals, and they are tribes who are, a'udhu billah, are not Muslims. Okay, they are shayateen, and their whole job and purpose is to mislead the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Their job is to mislead the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they come to somebody who's like an imam, and they'll say they will help him. Okay, and they'll show him some help, but then they'll start making him practice magic. And it will be with Quran, but it will be just like candles. Quran will be written on candles, buried underneath the ground. And many people, many Raqis are misled by this, and they fall into the traps. After a while, what happens to this man, this Mawlana or Pir, whatever he is, it won't work in it for him anymore. This magic won't work for him. So they say to him, you have to slaughter. You have to slaughter something. Or the king of the tribe has got killed and another king has took hold of the tribe, and you have to obey. And the story goes long, on and on and on and on, till they get him worshipping shaitan. But the sister, the question back to the sister is, stay away from this man. This man sounds like he's practicing sihr, and don't ask him anything. Don't tell him you're doing ruqyah. Just change your number.
Are there different types of jinn, and how can we differentiate between them if there are?
Why do you want to do that? That doesn't make any, that question.
It's not me, Akhi, it's not me.
Yeah, that's irrelevant.
I've made bara from them, alhamdulillah.
You go on, next question.
In countries such as Turkey, almost every shop has the blue eye symbol placed somewhere. Why is this, and what harm can it bring?
Like I said earlier on, these things like the eye, the blue eye, and things. This is according to shirk, that it's going to protect you. Nothing protects you. Only Allah Azza wa Jalla is your protector. But once you rely on something, you're left to it. I.e., you have no iman. Your iman has become very weak, and you relied on it. So the shayateen now can do whatever they want to you because you don't rely on Allah. You rely other than Allah Subhanahu wa
Ta'ala. Somebody has asked, shayateen has no power other than Allah. I believe that there is no God but Allah. Why is it that Allah does not help the wrongdoers, but why is it that this still happens?
This is a test from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. He tests you. What are you going to do? Are you going to run to Him, or are you going to run to a soothsayer or magician? So it's a test, just like any other illness. When you're afflicted with some form of illness like sihr and ayn or jinn possession, is what Ibn Qayyim said. He said this is just like any other affliction. It's nothing different from a broken leg or anything of the sort.
I think we're pretty much done for questions, alhamdulillah. If there's any more from the floor, if anyone wants to ask.
Can I just make clear, just before, Raqis are not scholars. I think all of you are wise, yeah? Raqis are not scholars, and I'm only speaking through experience. So, inshallah, I didn't make any mistakes, and Allah knows best. And if I made any mistakes, it's for myself and shaitan, but anything that from the Quran, alhamdulillah, is clear. But I just need to make sure that everyone understands that as Raqis, we are not scholars. Okay? Jazakumullah khair for asking me the questions and giving me a chance to answer. But really, it's a big amana, this knowledge, Islam and Iman and Ihsan. It's knowledge that needs to be preserved by scholars. And we should always turn to scholars. Wallahi, when you look at the fatwa they make, it makes a lot of sense when you see what I see. Wallahi, brothers, seek knowledge from the scholars. No.
Is this they got a limited duration, or is it expired, or some of them they have long duration?
The magic.
Yes.
The magic. So does sihr have a duration
Okay,
period?
so you're asking me a question again. I'm going to refer things, like, I don't like talking about this, yeah? But I will say what I've learned. And there's lots of stuff that I've been told. And I try my best not to do these talks and talk about what the jinns say. But this is what they say. They say that sometimes when the magician dies, the sihr is finished. Okay? The sihr is finished. But what you find is that jinns like the body and want to stay in the body. So the sihr hasn't finished yet. And some of them are stubborn and they want to just finish the job, even though the magician has died. And remember, the whole goal of them is to turn you away from the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Husband and wife separated, and the wife ex-wife started cursing husband in very bad curses, like wishing death, disability, problem with business, not marrying again. Is it similar to Sharia? But he feels it right away. It's gone wrong after this, and like.
See, I'll ask you what country they're from. I'll ask you what country they're from, so I know the culture. That's the first question I'll ask you. No, you don't have to answer.
Okay.
I'll ask you where they're from. Then I'll ask you, do you have any suspicion that she goes to magicians? And then the answer. Then if you say no, there's no suspicion, then I'll say, okay, maybe, again, see, I don't say it is, maybe hasad. Okay, I can't just say it's sihr. Unfortunately, many brothers that go, or sisters go to Iraqis, they say you have sihr, when they don't have sihr.
If you said that envy can have the same like.
Envy is stronger than sihr.
Okay, but hatred and curses similar, like.
Yeah.
Like envy also negative.
No, envy can be envy.
No, for her it's hatred to.
No, but the person who's affected should not listen to any of her what she's doing and just rely on Allah Azza wa Jalla and keep making dua and get on with his life.
But still it's similar because he feels it affects factually, but it happens.
Well, the sir is that there's a hadith that you should not tell, people your business. So his ex-wife should not know anything about him, for her to envy him about his, his life.
She's trying to throw other people and stuff like that and making in advance because he might marry again and she doesn't want this. That's why.
Doesn't sound like a case for me. It's not a case. It's not a case. This just sounds like a feud between a husband and wife.
Like you said, it's a guy trying to do business is like a wall. He's
Yeah.
trying to marry like a wall. Chronically it doesn't happen, but besides it's no reason.
I would say to him, read Surah Al-Baqarah every day. Read Surah Al-Baqarah every day, you'll find your life change. And this is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Surah Al-Baqarah has got barakah in everything. Your life, your wealth, your family, everything. So read Surah Al-Baqarah. Ignore what she says and read Surah Al-Baqarah.
Sheikh Abdul Karim.
One simple question. Once you dissolve
The ta'weez,
in the water and the paper, how do you dispose of them?
that's it.
Just repeat the question. The question is, once the ta'weez has been put in water, how do we dispose of this?
You can burn it. Okay, you can burn it.
Put in water, you burn?
No, once it's dry, you can burn it, but that takes
Without water?
without water. Just take the water out, dry it, burn it. That's one way. The other way is just to throw it in the ground so no one else can touch it and it can't be. No one can basically get it. So just bury it, or flush it down the toilet.
Water that has got the stuff dissolved.
Just put it in the grass, put it in the soil, and that's it.
Toilet? No?
Pardon?
In the toilet?
You can put it in the toilet. That's it. It's finished. Done. Yeah. That's no effect, inshallah.
Brother, the brother next to you.
Does the Luqi find out same day when he does Ruqyah to someone, he find out what's wrong with him in first time?
In the first time. Sometimes it's complicated. If the case is complicated, then it's not easy. But if it's straightforward, for instance, they tell you what's wrong with them, you ask them questions, and then they, I need to give you an example for you to understand. Let's say somebody comes to you and they go into university, and I'm going to make you guess, because this is what I do. I teach people how to diagnose people. So if somebody goes to university, and then all of a sudden he can't go to university, and this actually happened to somebody who came to me. Every time he's just about to go to university, his heart starts palpitation, he starts sweating, and he starts panicking. What do you think is wrong with him? Ayn for what? Ayn for what? Now we're going to go to Pacific. Ayn for what? Pardon? Knowledge. Yeah? Ayn for knowledge. So let's say, for instance, now the next question is, what are your grades like? He will say to you, I got all A stars. You say to him, did anyone admire you? Did anyone praise you? So yeah, a lot of teachers praised me. This person is suffering from what? Ayn, because the kuffar don't say, MashaAllah, tabarakallah. So what has he got? He's got ayn. And ayn has got certain signs and symptoms, and they're very severe. And the people that suffer from ayn, they get possessed, a'udhu billah, from the worst types of jinn. And they cause, like waswas, the person starts suffering from, when you wash your hands too many times, and you can't stop washing your hands. OCD. Okay, they suffer from these kind of symptoms. To us as Iraqis, we know straight away what he has. But it doesn't mean he doesn't have sihr. It doesn't mean that he doesn't have ayn. It can be, you can have all the three together, or you can just suffer from ayn. But it's, as a practitioner, you should ask a lot of different questions, and then you can get to the root of the problem.
Brother Ridwan.
If you know someone perhaps maybe put a taweez in your house, or someone's done a taweez, and you can't find it, you can't locate it, is there a way to destroy it without actually physically destroying it?
Okay, if you asked a peer or a Mawlana, he would say to you, yes, there is. Okay, but we know the way to destroy it is to find it, and then undo it, and then it's destroyed. If you can't find it, was you here early on in the talk?
I was in and out, but...
Yeah, you weren't here in the talk. We said that was like the main part of the talk. The steps of breaking the sihr.
No, but you showed physically how to break it. I'm talking about if someone did sihr or had a taweez outside of the country even. How do you, if you know that someone has done it in another country, for example, and they say, yeah, put it in a mountain or whatever, and some people might say, well, you're going to wait for it to rain and the rain to wash it away, whatever. If you can't physically get to that, how do you break it without speaking to those people involved?
Okay, so the brother's saying, how do you break a ta'weez if somebody's told you that they've done a ta'weez for you, but it's not in the country, it's somewhere else, it's high in a mountain, on a tree, and so on, yes? Okay, so the thing is, the ta'weez, what was the ta'weez for, number one? You want to know what the ta'weez is for. So if it was something malicious, and something like to kill you or to destroy your life, they wouldn't tell you where it is.
Regardless of what it's for, if you know that someone...
It's very important what it's for, it's very important.
Let's say you don't know.
Okay, so let's say, for instance, this magic was done. This magic was done. What was it for? What was it for? It was for to heal the person. Okay, and these Mawlanas, they believe that this sihr is, or they don't believe it's sihr. They believe it's just a way of seeking help from the jinn. So if the person carries these with them, the jinn will possess them. They got like a door to open. Just method of talking. So they've got it at home. But if this sihr is done to you, not the way you've explained it, because that doesn't make sense. But sihr was done to you to kill you, to destroy you, and they've hid it in a mountain somewhere far away. What we say to people is make dua, give sadaqah, do good deeds. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy it for you. There are many times we've broken sihr, we don't even know who sihr is for. So it's just dua and having yaqeen, and we mentioned this earlier in the talk, have yaqeen that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer your dua. And once you do that, bi'idhnillah, Allah will destroy that sihr. And it's happened, it's not like it's not happened.
I think we'll take two more and then inshallah we'll say we've got some food. Bismillah.
If we pray 5 times daily first salah, we do this sunnah askar, like reading Ayatul Kursi, Qur'an with Falaq, Qur'an Bina, and we worry about it because it's already protecting us. Is it okay to, we shouldn't be worried about it?
See, if I answer that question and say to you, you're protected and that's it, then you do get afflicted. You say, well, why have I prayed and I've made my dua and why am I afflicted? But you are not to ask Allah Azza wa Jalla why you're afflicted. You have to check yourself why and what have you done. Because remember, the Prophet ﷺ, the most perfect man to walk on this earth, who had the strength of 100 men, was afflicted by sihr. Why was he afflicted by sihr? Ask yourself that question. He was afflicted by sihr as it was a test. It was a test, not only to the Prophet ﷺ, but to all of us. And he's an example for us, that we must be patient at a time of test, and we must call upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah loves when you call upon Him. So this is sometimes the problem I get with people when they come. They say, well, akhi, I was praying and I made dua, and I done this, and I done sadaqah, and I still got afflicted. Well, be patient. You'll get rewarded if you're patient. And maybe Allah wants a place for you in higher in paradise. that you can get to with your deeds and your dua and your. But with your patience, you could. Yes? Is that okay?
Could you
Excellent.
also enlighten us on the sickle of separation, the sickle of blockage as well? I think especially a lot of brothers, there's some brothers who are suffering currently with this sort of.
Okay, let me explain this.
What are the signs? What are the ways to overcome this? Maybe some outside Ruqyah.
Okay, I'm not going to give you like a textbook. What are the signs are? I mentioned earlier, everyone is different. So, like one person, like yourself, would be different to my friend over here, and your signs will not be the same as his. You might be, he might be just naturally kind to his wife, naturally, and even the sihr, affected him, but he's still kind to his wife. But with you, on the other hand, are naturally not nice to your wife, just naturally. But just the way you are, just because you're aggressive, you got a temper, naturally. So I have to ask questions to find out, and each individual what they're like, to get to the root of the problem. You can't just say, like I said, you can't pick up a book and start diagnosing people. And there are books that have been written, but you can't do that. But what I say to people when they come to me is that, you know the problem, okay? You know you have a problem, there's a problem there. Then why is it still going on? Why don't you fight against it? Remember, sihr doesn't have the effect only by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you know the sihr is there and it's sihr for separation, why don't you just hold hands? Because when you do that, it actually destroys the sihr. When you try to bring that love back together, it actually destroys the sihr. And that's how we actually help brothers and sisters. Okay? Am I making sense? I hope I am, because I know it is very confusing.
Alhamdulillah. Taib, Akhi, is there any other tips or anything else you'd like to impart on the brothers?
Continuously, if we are worrying about this, that we've got sihr with this, can't we feel that we are actually obsessed with this and worrying about this all the time? That we get sihr? And then
This
we
is-
get worried all the
Yeah,
time.
this is.
I believe that everyone just trust Allah and just do zikr all the time and leave it to Allah.
I think that's been the
This,
kind of the theme of
this is the whole talk.
Alhamdulillah.
The whole talk was about this. It's the people are so, they bothered about somebody done sihr to them. And this is a woman who came to me. She calls the magician. She calls him, phones him, and asks him, "Did somebody do sihr to me?" And he said, "Yes, your cousins did." And then she'll come to the Raqi and say, "Can you do ruqyah for me?" Can you believe that? Can you believe that? This is how some people, they're so worried. But when you're worried, what are you supposed to do when you're worried? What is that you're supposed to do? It's totally turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Totally turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. When you get attacked, for instance, at night, when you get attacked, what are you supposed to do the next day? Or at that night, what are you supposed to do? Get up and pray, make wudu, make dua, and know there's something wrong. You must have done something wrong. Okay?
See this one young man, he's always worried that someone is going to do nazar on him all the time. He's worried about the shaitan will actually be taking over and will do nazar. And then he just accusing other people. Have you told about this? Have you told about my success? That is making him worried.
Okay. Can I cut you and explain to you something? Okay. Some people who are afflicted by jinn can talk like this, okay? And they cause mischief in the communities. But they are afflicted by jinn. And it's their jinn. One second. I'm going to explain it.
We need to wrap up after this.
Okay. So people sometimes who are afflicted by jinn, and no one knows it. It looks like a mental illness. Go around talking to every single one in the masjid, okay, everyone in the masjid, and everyone knows his news, and it's a jinn actually who's talking to you. It's a jinn who's trying to cause fitna, okay? And he talks about who gave me ayn, he gave me, and everyone wants to say, oh, ayn is not real, it doesn't exist. Ayn does exist. It takes a man to his grave. It does exist. And there's a cure for it. So we can't, we have to have a balance, okay? That person needs to be sat down, spoken to, said to him, calm down. Okay, yes, ayn is true, and you know what? We'll give you ruqyah, or we will do ruqyah to you, or we take the water from everyone in the masjid and we give you to wash from it. I'm done, finished. Don't talk about it anymore. That's it.
Jazakallah khair, brothers and sisters, for coming. Just two very small announcements. Firstly, we have these books upstairs and at the back of the brothers section on your exit. It's private devotions, morning and evening azkar from the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. It has the meanings in there, which is very important, so you know what you're actually reciting. Please take one, make a donation if you want to. If not, but all the money raised from these are going to support our events coming up, inshallah. So yeah, that is, and obviously with the topic, this is your protection, inshallah. So please take one on your way out. Final announcement, we'd like to launch the Ta'weez project. It's a project that we've been working on. Alhamdulillah, we've got some very dedicated brothers on the project, and it's essentially to rid the ummah of things like this, what we've been seeing today. Please check out the website, ta'weezproject.com, the Facebook page and the LinkedIn, the Instagram page. And essentially, it's to get rid of this problem that ta'weez has become so common within society. Unfortunately, and people like the brothers Abu Nadeer said, people trust the ta'weez so much, and it takes them away from praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking Him for help. So please visit the website, check it out. Get involved if you can. We're going to have ta'weez boxes amongst many masajid, where people can drop these ta'weez off and we can open them and dispose of them. If you'd like to get involved, contact us via the website or the Instagram and the Facebook. Barakallahu feek once again for coming. We have samosa and some other refreshments, so please help yourself. Don't want you guys to go home hungry. Jazakumullah khair. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu